Let's bring in our think tank tonight to break down the conspiracy theory here. Joining us tonight, Joseph Marone, great criminal defense attorney. He's in Philadelphia tonight. DeWitt Lacy, civil rights attorney, former criminal defense attorney in Los Angeles. Or is it Beverly Hills, perhaps, where DeWitt Lacy is tonight? Also with us, Tiffany Porter, municipal court judge, criminal defense attorney in Georgia. All right, Joseph, let me start with you. Should the defense be chomping at the bit here, being able to defend a conspiracy charge when you've got an alleged conspiracy with 3 people and one of them is dead and will never appear inside that courtroom, and there may not be any written communication, recorded communication, and there won't be anyone who's an alleged part of the conspiracy testifying about a conspiracy?
Well, you have to wait and see. We're at the preliminary hearing stage, and it's a critical time for the defense. Even though the defendants won't testify and the defense won't put on any evidence, it's an opportunity to do some cross-examination of the detectives, of the people involved in the investigation, to see if they can start to punch some holes in this case. Based on the evidence that's being put out in the media and what we know, it's almost inevitable that they're going to be held for court. The standard's very low. They just have to have enough evidence where there's reasonable belief that obviously this matter can get to a jury. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Remember, you got to keep thinking there's no murder charges here, and that's what the authorities really want. And they're going to do everything they can to kind of pin these two against each other to see if one eventually cracks, because they have no other evidence to bring murder charges. But in this particular case, this is at the preliminary hearing stage. It's an excellent opportunity for the defense to really kind of gain some traction and build their case for trial so that they have a legitimate chance to defend it.
Judge Porter, you know, conspiracy sometimes is easy to prove and sometimes it's a little bit difficult. I don't think they're necessarily going to have any sort of written communications about this so-called plan. I think prosecutors are just going to have to lay out the whole story and feed the jury, ultimately when this goes to trial, a big dose of common sense. Will that be enough?
It should be enough at the preliminary stage, because this is pretty much just a fishing expedition to see what's out there and what evidence will eventually be presented. Really, in Idaho, I mean, the steps are just, agreement is enough. So there's not a lot that you need in Idaho to really that makes it hard to get to a conspiracy charge. I believe that the prosecutors have enough, and just with the evidence surrounding this case, what they have right now, even though circumstantial, I think it's enough to get conspiracy charges.
DeWitt, how do they connect a dead man to all of this? Because Alex Cox, I mean, looking at what has taken place here, we know he's killed at least one person. He's suspected and suspected to be part of this conspiracy. It seems like his hand is all over everything here, but he's dead. He's not going to testify. Is that going to be a huge issue and a huge problem here?
At trial, absolutely. And the defense have got to be rubbing their hands together about that one, because they have the classic empty chair defense in Alex Cox, who not only killed the ex-husband, but also the cell phone records pinged him to the residence, and him being there for a particular amount of time for on three occasions. I think everybody's opinions as far as the preliminary hearing are right. They'll get beyond the preliminary hearing. But the evidence to go forward at trial at this point, I think, is pretty thin. Now, albeit there are going to be some assumptions that could be made. I mean, this is this woman's children that they're talking about. So there's going to be great concern, I would imagine, that any jury would have in regards to this mom not really understanding or knowing the whereabouts of her children. However, there's got to be evidence. And right now, all the evidence seems to point to Alex Cox, and there's not really any evidence which would show any type of agreement or commitment between the three of them to do some and perform some criminal act.
Joseph Marone, I know these two have misled and lied at times to police about the children and where they were. But if you were stepping into this case, right, as the great criminal defense attorney you are, and you wanted to choose a client who you would have a better opportunity of being able to defend in this case, is it Chad Daybell or is it Lori Vallow Daybell?
Oh, without a doubt, it's Chad. I mean, Lori's the one that had the direct responsibility as being the mother who lied to the local authorities about knowledge of their whereabouts. She covered evidence up. I mean, she's got a real problem. She's going to be hated by the jury. Anybody who disregards their children, it's such a difficult time. No, I think obviously Chad's the guy that you want to represent.
Judge Porter, if you do represent Chad Daybell, how do you explain dead children buried in your backyard? The same backyard where you're burying pets, the same backyard where you allege that you shot the raccoon and buried it.
Well, this will be the blame game at this point. You want to point the finger either at the person that's dead and that he could have done this and was the mastermind behind this. And then, he may have to lean against her and say, she was in charge. She knew what was going on and that he didn't have a clue as to the children and their whereabouts.
When we come back, we're going to switch gears.